Hello you all, welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about the best job title I've ever had. Out of all the jobs I have had, one stands out. And no, it's not being a business owner. No, it's not being a supervisor. I'll tell you all about it. Let's get into the video. Okay, out of my 40-year working history, I have had so many jobs. One of the first jobs I did was I worked in the office at my high school. I just, I filed papers and things like that. So we're going all the way back to 77. That's when I first started working. And I worked in the office and I would file papers. I'd take things to classrooms to give to the teachers and things like that. And that was actually, I can't think if it, no, it was actually a program I was in where I could work and go to school at the same time. So I did that for, I think, two years. And, when you're like in school, when you're in school and you get certificates or, something from school, you get so excited. So here, you can't see it, but I'll put it up here. This is my, I need my glasses, so sorry. This is a shorthand proficiency certificate. I actually took shorthand in school. And it says, Charlene has taken dictation at the rate of 60 words a minute for 3 consecutive minutes and has transcribed with 3 errors on the 24th day of May, 1979. And that is a certificate I got from high school. Now, was I proud of myself? Heck yeah, I was proud of myself. I sure was. So then after high school, I worked for Kelly Service at the time. And I would go to different jobs. I worked at Ford. They wanted to hire me on, but I wouldn't take the job because I was getting married. And I was going to travel with my husband. Could somebody have slapped me in the head? So anyway, another job I had was an ADP operator. This was my badge that we had to use to punch in every day. Do you guys miss punching in to work now that you're retired? But anyway, this was in 85. And I worked there for probably 2 years or so. And it was a very interesting job. We had companies calling, giving us details of the payroll and things like that. So that was very interesting. After that, I ended up getting the longest job I ever worked, and that was working at the post office. Here's my little ID card. And I worked at the post office for 13 years. That job offered me so many things. I was able to raise my kids off of that job. I was able to take trips on that job. I should have stayed at that job. That's what I should have did. But because of the way my mind worked, maybe the way I was raised, I don't know, I just thought, I wanted to be a housewife and not work. So after my first marriage broke up, I ended up getting married for the second time, and he had a good job and everything, and we both were talking about we should quit our jobs, but what in the world could we do in the meantime? Well, actually, I ended up quitting my job, and we opened up a restaurant. And in that restaurant, we had a bar, we had food, we had the servers and all that stuff, and it was lovely. It was a beautiful, beautiful restaurant, and we were open a little over a year. What happened was that the overhead had become so high, Plus, we had theft in the restaurant that it was difficult to hold on to anything because everything was going out the door with the what do you call it, revolving employees we were hiring. It was so hard to keep anybody there. And so I took a class on environmental health, and I got a certificate of it on how to prevent foodborne disease, hazard analysis, critical control point principles, and all of that stuff. So handling food, I, became good at that. And also, I ended up taking a class to become a real estate agent. And I actually have my certificate again. I could have been a real estate agent. I had 40 hours for state and 60 hours for the college. I could have been a real estate agent. But again, where was my head during that time? It was all about marriage, children, and not working. That's what it was about. So I went on and completed my college degree. I have an associate's in administrative assistance, and I actually have a plaque. You guys see it up close there? And as you can see, these things must have some meaning for me because I kept them, right? So it's always exciting getting certificates and all of that stuff. And also when I was at the post office, within 2 years, I became a certified trainer. That's what that little card is. A certified trainer where I could train others, which I did. And, actually working at the post office, I wish I had stayed there. It was a good job. I had gotten used to walking. I was used to the weather. I mean, sometimes it was really difficult out in the snow or the rain and stuff like that. But, I fumbled that one. So, and then after the restaurant closed, I went to school and did all that. And let's see, what else did I do? Yeah, I got a certificate of appreciation from the post office. I got so many certifications. I got letters from employees saying what a good mail carrier I was and things like that. So it was a very good job, and I was very good at it. And that's the thing. Every job I ever did, I was good at it. I was so good at every job I did. So I ended up, so what have I been? I've been a business owner. The last job I had, I was working there. After my 90 days, they asked me if I wanted to be a supervisor. And of course I said yes, that would increase my pay for a couple bucks, right? So of course I wanted to be supervisor. So I had no problem working. I had no problem following instructions. My problem was what was up here and what was I thinking, and why wasn't I more into making money, staying at a job? I don't know. I don't know what was in me. I kept switching jobs constantly. And a lot of it had to do with hearing other people talk about what they wanted to do and this and that. And then I started thinking, well, I don't want to be stuck in this job and da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to go to a different job. And sometimes I actually went to a job that paid less because I thought I would like it more. And, I had no direction. I was just going through life and making mistakes after mistakes, switching jobs. And I worked in nonprofit. I love that job so much. And I probably would have ended up being the office manager there, but I quit to go work at a, what was it? work as a leasing agent at an apartment complex, which I quit after, I think, 4 months or so. I quit after 4 months because we had a really evil manager and she was just rude. I think I did a little skit about her. But anyway, so when you work, you get all these things that make you feel so proud of what you do, make you feel like, you know, this is all I want to do. They'll even give you a cup telling you world's okayest employee. Sometimes you get pins with the company name on it because you've been such a good attendant as a employee. But you know, I looked at all this stuff and none of it made me any difference, because the job that I find to be most rewarding for me was being a parent. My 3 lovely boys, young men now, men, have been my biggest blessing, have been my best job, and that's one job I could never quit. I could never quit that job, being their parent. And I'm glad I never gave up. There were times, there were times. But the reward that I got from raising 3 incredibly caring, loving men has been the best job of my life. It really has. That's a job nobody can take away from me. I never got a certificate or a pen or a coffee cup for being their mom. But what I got is more than all these certificates and praises, because I get the love from my children that beats all of that. And to know that I raised some wonderful men, that's the biggest accomplishment of my life. So we can look at our job and think that's what makes us who we are, but it's not. You have to find something that's more meaningful. And being a mother has been the most meaningful thing to me, that nobody can take that away from me. Nobody. Because my kids, I love them so much. We have our ins and outs and boxing matches and disagreements, but in the end, we love each other. And nobody can take that away from us. So you guys tell me in the comments, what has been your favorite job title? My favorite job title is mom. All right, you guys, tell me what color the heart is in this video. All right, you guys take care of yourselves. I love you so much and keep watching, okay? Love you. Mwah.